Welcome, everyone. We're back in the Hall of Games today. The game I've selected for today, I believe, will really appeal to Los Petro. But before we jump into that game, I do want to say there are not going to be any ads. I feel the ads were getting a little silly. However, for nostalgia's sake, I wanted to do a little bit of a flashback. So please bear with me while I do a story here in this flashback. Then we'll get into today's episode. So let's go back to a magical time called the 90s. And there was this great place called Media Play. It was pretty large, maybe half the size of a Walmart. And it sold movies, music, video games, and paraphernalia from all of those types of things. And Media Play was always filled with so many people, and all types of people. Like, there were the cool kids that were there were the hip-hop kids that were there, even the preppy kids would show up. Anyway, while digging through the bargain bin there, I found a game that I had not heard of. It was called Gangsters Organized Crime, and it was for the PC. And when I looked at the back, it was a strategy game. You were one of 4 families in the city. You started off by yourself, but you could build out your crew, and then they would have different skills, and you could send them out into the streets and give them tasks to do. Maybe they'd go collect protection money. Maybe they'd extort new businesses, build relationships, all those things. And sometimes the heat would get high enough between you and other families that there could even be kind of a bloodbath in the streets. You kind of had to watch out for those types of things. But it was a really fun game, great strategy game. And yeah, so I just had to share this nice little blast from the past. Well, thank you for bearing with me there and allowing me to reminisce. I hope you enjoyed it. Yorkie did. He's jamming to 90s tunes again. He's in another happy place that he has. Not as happy as Lady Gaga, let's face it. But the thing is, I played that gangster game so many times, had so many good memories. And in fact, a couple of years ago, I started to think back to those games and those times that I had with it and kind of felt, nostalgic. So I went looking for the game. Though to play it now, I would need to have a DOS emulator because it was that old of a game. But I did find a different game that is more modern, that was also discounted. And it is called City of Gangsters. And that is the game that I picked for us to play today. So please sit back and enjoy the gameplay. Okay, so here we are in the City of Gangsters. As you can tell from the artwork, this takes place a while back. In fact, the first year is 1920 is when it starts off the game. As you may remember, the Prohibition was a big thing then. Therefore, a lot of people made money off of bootlegging, or at least those who did it illegally. So bootlegging will be a primary part of this game, but as it is a gangster's game, it is also going to be about gaining territory and control and working out deals, making sure cops are on your side, all that fun stuff. So we'll go ahead and jump in. We'll, of course, start a new game. Now, in this game, you can do quite a few different cities. The first one that it kind of wants you to start with is Chicago, and that's the one that we'll start with. However, you could do other cities, and they have, if you click on them, you'll notice that the landscape's a little different. Yeah, and so you just get Some are harder than others too. So there is that piece of it. And that's why they suggest Chicago, a little easier, a little more opportunities. But yeah, uh, I am going to use this seed. So you can do a random value, or if there are seeds that you like, you can go with those. This is one that was suggested on the message boards, so I'm going to go ahead and go with that one. So nationalities, yeah. So when you customize your character, most of these things are just demographic. Obviously, your name can be whatever. Your picture, you can randomize that. You can be male or female. There's no real difference there as far as stats or anything. Skin tone, face, hat, clothing, that's all pretty much just cosmetic. It doesn't do much for you. But it kind of gives, it's going to be the picture you see of yourself all the time. So some people might be more interested in having a particular look. Nationality, though. You can come in here, and there are quite a few different nationalities. Now, I do have some DLCs. I have all the DLCs, and therefore, I am not sure if some of these are part of the DLCs or not. And to start, it'll just throw a random one there. But you can, of course, pick any of them that you want. The ones that I usually play, of course, are Italian or German. The way this plays in, though, there's two main ways that it plays in that are important to understand, because it isn't just cosmetic or demographic. Your nationality will be given recipes that are specific to your nationality. German, of course, can do great lagers, and you can charge more for these recipes. Italian, I'm thinking wine. That would only make sense. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've played. The other piece that plays a role is, of course, there's always relationships within any gangster gang. You're always trying to build up relationships, right? Anyone from your nationality is going to naturally like you and trust you a little bit better or a little bit more from the start. Where those who are from other nationalities, they'll have more of a base rate. Now, I don't believe that there's any rival nationalities in here. Maybe that's a little too bad. It'd be kind of interesting if you're Italian, the Irish rivalry there, especially if you pick like a New York map. They don't have a Boston map. That would be even better. But that would be interesting dynamic, but I don't believe that's in here. I've never noticed it. But yeah, you have quite a few different choices here, if you notice. And some interesting ones, I mean, of course, you have the Germans and Irish and Italians that all stick together, and well, probably German, not as much. If you think traditionally in the U.S., you had the Irish and the Italians, Russians. Those are your big mafia and gangster type of things. But they also have a few other interesting ones in here. They do have American. Not sure exactly how American plays. I haven't used that. English, that's interesting. I noticed they have Canadian. I don't know. Maybe with Canadian, you can corner the market on like maple syrup bootlegging. I don't know. I've never really played as them. Maybe extortion is part of this game. Maybe if you're extorting people and they're not paying up, you kidnap them and tie them up and make them listen to like Anne Murray for 14 hours, all that music and stuff. And I don't know. Um, but I do usually go German and Italian. In fact, those are the only two I think I've ever played, and we're going to go German. Um, we go ahead and choose our own name. I'm not going with Irvin. We will go with Otto, after Otto the Great. You guys know Otto the Great. You should open a history book if you don't know. And let's go with actually this is the last name. It doesn't automatically change this. Let's just call it the Drexel family. Sure, I'm okay with this. You'll see in a moment why this picture is kind of silly. Well, I'll explain right now. When you jump into the game, you always jump in as a 18-year-old kid. So it's kind of funny that most of the pictures don't age and all kind of look old. But anyway, so the next pieces that matter are your personality and your starting skills. And if you hover over them, they show you what traits you gain from this, or what the bonus is. For personality, you get 3 traits all the time. For your starting skill, you'll get some sort of bonus or an advantage. I want to try and do a run where we gain as much territory as possible. So I'm going to go brawler. I'm going to have some ability when it comes to strength. Now, the ugly thing, that's kind of funny. You'd be like, why does that matter? But if you're good looking, then I think that you can sway people better. You have a little more charisma. So I'm going to be hurt a little bit when I'm trying to be charismatic. However, I'm strong and I'm agile. If I remember correctly, agile, I can run a little faster, or I don't know, maybe I can, in fights, I can dodge a little bit better. But I will be strong, so my hits are going to matter more. Now in here, there's a few different things. I've heard protection rackets are really good. That one, reduces some of the cost of things that you go ahead and the hits that you have when you, of course, when you try and take protection and you have those demands, people are going to not like it. Go figure. And this decreases what that is and increases the amount of money you'll get from those businesses. It's not a bad one. It's definitely good to go. I think, let's see, nice building we got there. I think it's cheaper to buy a building because there'll be times you want to buy a building. Organized crime, I think this is one. Yeah, this one helps because it boosts even more so when you're talking to people of your own ethnicity. However, I really am going to go with getting territorial. It reduces the cash cost for setting up a new front by 10% and decreases the amount of time required for a front to gain control of adjacent corners. And you will see where this kind of falls in once we get in there, because you'll start to see how I have to start setting these things up. But yeah, we'll go with that. So basic setup, nothing really a whole lot there. I did talk a lot, but we'll do this. We'll get it going. Okay, so I let it load a little bit there. I kind of wanted to fast forward past the loading. Basically, just built out the city. And I need to correct myself. I said you always start off 18 years old. You do always start off young. They're starting me off at 22. And the story is always that you finally make it to the big city. You're also starting off living with a family member. It's always either an uncle or an aunt. They always have a small business in the city. And it's always a business that is legit. And this person is someone who is pretty legit. However, kind of like it says here, your dream really isn't to run the family store. You got to want to make it big, and you want to do something else. So, anyways, that's how it throws you. And most of this is all exactly the same. It's practically just this that changes, and just the city, which you already selected the city. So we will jump in here, and it shows you the map. Now this is a turn-based thing, if you notice. So no need to really pause it. It's pretty much paused. But we'll zoom out. Well, let me zoom in first. These areas, sorry. I'm trying to remind myself how to navigate here. So these areas that are kind of grayish. Oops. Well, okay. I guess we'll do all there. I didn't mean to do that. But these areas that are this brownish, they are undiscovered. And to actually discover them, you just have to drive into them. However, to drive into any area that is undiscovered, it takes 5 movement points. Now, our character has 8 movement points. I used 1 to accidentally move that way. We also have 3 interaction or action points. Those can go up when you're dealing with things. However, you just kind of have to use them, and then when you're done, that's when you have to advance your turn. But you'll see here. Let's see. So right here, I believe this at the bottom is, yep. So this is, we're going to drive back there. So I want to show you that. You can't go in between. You just need to go to the corners. I go here. It will light up these areas, and it says you can interact with those. So I'll go in here because I wanted to show you a little bit of what's going on. So what do we make? We make neutral alcohol. Great. That's you always end up making something that's going to be a recipe for something that you can bootleg. But yeah, that's kind of the nice piece there. So you have your uncle that you can chat with, and if you notice, we're at 26 favorability with him. We have 2 favors, which means we can ask him certain things, which we will do that in a moment. I already showed you this, the barbershop. So he runs a barbershop, but it generates every 28 days, so every 4 turns, it will create 15 of these bottles of neutral alcohol. We do have our storage here, which anything that we have stored within this area is safe, I believe. I think cops can do raids, though I think that might just impact your back store stuff that you're doing. We always have a vehicle that you start off with. This is a very basic vehicle. As you can imagine, we'd want to buy bigger vehicles that can carry more. But to start, you always start off with some moonshine so that you can go ahead and start making some money. I think I'll go ahead and load up. I'll load up just 15. If you get caught with this by the cops, then they take it away. So I want to kind of avoid that. I'll leave my bat for now at home. Usually this first little bit, you don't need to worry about it. I'll take the money. I'll keep the money. You start off with 150. And actually, you know what? I'm going to go 120 just because that's how much it costs to start. and open up a front, and I'm hoping that I will be able to do that. I'll find someone in this first turn that I can chat with them about that. All right, so we're done with that. But see, this is the back area, back room business. We can set up any business we want. To start, we only have these things, but it will tell you how much it costs to actually set it up and how much lumber. We do have 4 lumber crates, so that's nice. But if we click on them, it will tell us what it takes to do this. So if you notice, this will take neutral alcohol, which would create all the time, and crocks, stoneware crocks, something to store them in. Those can be kind of hard to find and can be a bit expensive. Sometimes when you load up your city, your business automatically makes crocks. That's nice. So we're going to have to find a way to buy crocks to start making this. But it will make moonshine for us, and it automatically already has one of the ingredients that we need. So that's nice. That's probably the way we're going to go, to be honest. We'll see, though. But it's a good starter one because we already have the ingredients. However, if we go over here, we can do hard cider. Once again, you need crocks, and you need to be able to find a way of having apple juice. We don't have access to apple juice right now, so that's not really one that's wise to go with. It is cheaper to set up, though. This is even cheaper, but you would need maple or malt syrup and 50 crocks. And this is making just home brew. This is brick wine. Probably this is something that I think you have access to if you are Italian. So yeah, that's pretty good. And then we come here, backroom moonshine. So here, this we would actually sell the moonshine right out of the back room. Not something I want to do to start. However, at some point we do want to get to this point and do this. The reason I don't want to do this is because another thing that you do in this game, of course, as you probably already imagine, the gang is just myself right now. However, I can add more people to my gang, and I will. But when you're set up an operation like this, you need someone who's watching it to be able to sell this stuff, which only makes sense. So that's why it doesn't make sense to do that right now. However, it is nice because it would sell the moonshine that we make. Now, like I had mentioned in the first part, we do have German lager that we can make. And basically we would need ice and some backroom beer cases, which we don't have any of, but we would then be able to make lager, and I do believe it would sell better. But requirements to be able to do this, if you notice there are requirements, and to be able to do this, we need to control 20 corners anyways. And to start, this is the symbol for corners, and I only control 1 corner. So we'll want to build into that. I won't build this yet. Obviously, I don't have the money to, but we're going to get there. Like I said, our target is to do this. So we want to find a way to buy crocks because we'll need those. And also I'll need to get them cash to do so. All right, so back. That was long. Sorry, winded. We have 2 favors. When you have conversations with people, you'll have a few different things. If they have this little ticket thing in front of them, it means it's going to cost a favor. It won't cost a favor right up front. You'll see the point where it is, so you can always back out. But you want to build up relationships with places. And so I'm like, well, hey, let me talk to my uncle and say, what could we do? Who do you know, and what is there? So I can either see if he can get me in with some of the local troublemakers, or get to know some people. And I want to do this to start. So he can help. I can chat with this guy. He would have some favors. And if we look at this, he actually he's got a tea store. Oh, there we go. And that tea store is it's okay. We talk about selling and buying. We'll get to that. The other one that he told me he could talk to, or we could find out, is this guy. His relationship's not as high, but let's see what he's a mechanic. That would be great. Because as a mechanic, we can get our car fixed. We can also buy better cars. And the last person, that's funny. Is he like related to me? Maybe that's what I just noticed the last name. He might be related to me. That might make sense to chat with him too. But Alice Boone, what does she have? Oh, she sells vehicles. And that's nice. But I don't know. I'm not looking to buy a vehicle quite yet. So I think actually I won't ask for him for favors, and I'll just come here and talk to this guy. And let's see, we'll ask him, what do you sell? What do you buy? Oh, look, this guy, he sells stoneware Crocs. Nice. That's good to know. I don't want to buy any quite yet, because I want to be able to gain some money. So I will talk to him at some point. So I'll come here to this guy. He was not someone that my uncle really had a good relationship with, or said. But I do have, he kind of likes me. He's 31. He likes me up to 31. He's 19 years old. He is an American, though. I was hoping he was German. Let's see, what does he buy and sell? He wants to sell moonshine, which I believe, if I remember correctly, that means I can sell him moonshine and he will buy it from me. We'll check in a second here. Let's see. Yep. Yeah, okay. So he is he's good with this. I could talk to him about the cost. I want to get his likability up higher. Then I can kind of lower things. So I'll tell him, hey, I kind of have some in the car right now. So I have 15. I had 15 in the car. I'll do this. He'll only go up to as much as he has money for. So he'll only buy 13 of them, but he'll give me 260. So I'll say, yeah, sure, let's do that. Let's go for that. Now that cost me now an interaction point, or an action point. But if you notice, this went up, so that's good. And we have 3 favors with him. I think we only had 2. Let's ask him, hey, who do you know? Or I want to expand our territory. Now, he's already kind of in my corner that I own, so I'm kind of not as big on that. So I will leave him alone, trying to look and see what people would, what would make sense, what would be a good thing. Now these that have the kind of the storefront and a question mark by it, I need to be able to discover what they do. So we'll be doing that as well. But man, I would love to try and set up a front to expand my strength. And I think this is what we'll do. We'll go ahead. We'll talk to I'll ask my uncle about this guy. I'll say, hey, what's up with him? Can you get me in good with him? And that cost a favor and an action point. But it helped me understand a little bit more and build a relationship with him. So now I will come down here again. And I have 2 favors with him, and because my uncle put in a good word with him, we're up there. Now he's Scottish, so that's not going to be it's not going to be a bad thing, but it's just not going to be a great thing. But I want to expand my territory, so I'm going to be like, hey, you owe me a couple of favors. Can you tell me what it is? What are you willing to do? And so these conversations are all kind of the same, only the money can be different. It's usually around 100. It's sometimes 120. But I'll be like, hey, dude, let's have you do this. I'll give you $100, and it'll use up one of my favors. But you're going to start building out kind of a little thing here. Now it's cool because my respect is rising because I just gained a little more power. If you notice that blue area, it grew a little bit. We'll zoom out. It was just this little area. And if you notice, I've gone up to 2 corners. So that's great. I noticed there are a couple other things I should have chatted about on here. But anyway, so now our conversation's done. It's going to take them a little time to actually set it up and start actually spreading and talking about things. But it used up my last action point. So I'll come back and check in with him. He'll also usually collect money for me. And so it's another way of gaining a little bit of cash. So yeah, I'll tell him, hey, see you around. Okay, so before I go too far into my next turn, because I don't have any actions left, but I want to move. I am looking at, William Drexel. Another man, the Drexel boys. I wonder, troublemaker. He's my uncle. He's 43 years old. I wonder if I could get in good with him. But anyways, these orange areas, and then they'll sometimes be red. There are other gangs and areas that you kind of need to watch out for. Like I said, since he's my uncle and the likability, it's only at 16, but I might be able to build that up with him. If we come over here, Emma Hines, we're dead even, so she doesn't hate me, doesn't like me. But she's a 20-year-old American. She's probably going to be kind of a threat. I'm going to most likely be trying to get rid of her and her gang. But to end this turn, and there'll be more things that you will see that we discover. But to end this turn, I'm going to just move over here. And when I get here, we'll see these. Now see, if I had an action point, I could actually research it and see what those buildings do. I don't have an action point. I also don't have enough points to go into here. So I will kind of end up wasting these movement points, but that's okay. As time goes on, you can get more action points. So I'll just actually do this and go to my next turn. Oh, something I totally forgot that we needed to look at here. These things up here, these are, they kind of let us know about things. So these are different laws that have been passed. Not something we necessarily have to worry about to start. So we will get rid of these laws that have been passed. You sometimes need to pay attention to those, but this tells me that as Germans, we have that ability to do the beer. I learned about a new resource, ice. Like we saw on one of our recipes, we're going to want to find where we can buy ice. That'll be good. All right, we've got a German efficiency, which means, we do get a bonus to some other things. Once again, this is where your ethnicity comes into play. We also learned we have homeland specialty, and so it's unique. We can brew German lager. We learned about also a new resource, corn syrup, that's out there. And then this tells us that the election phase has begun. This doesn't mean much right now, but as we get to know people and build relationships up, it will make sense to find out who are some budding politicians that kind of want to make their way up into the city in their, in this area, in whatever we want to say, kind of just become the mayor of the city or whatnot. And of course, as we build strong relationships and even get favors with certain politicians, we then are going to want to do things to help those politicians get into office. And that's where the election will start to matter. We'll be like, the election's coming up. Let's see what we can do to go ahead and smooth things over so that the guy who's in our pocket will be able to be elected, because then you can do some fun and cool things with your favors to be able to just gain control, as you can imagine. Well, I hope you enjoyed that gameplay. I did end up having to do a lot of extra explaining in there to try and help you understand what was going on. And the original gameplay went well over an hour, so I decided to cut this off around the 30-minute mark. But if there's a desire to see more of it, let me know and I'll post the second half of the gameplay. But until next time, from all of us at the Alessio the Great Show, keep on gaming and keep on staying great.